Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. The holidays are coming up upon us very quickly, guys. Family and friends coming to visit. Why not enjoy a holiday retreat in the beautiful Smoky Mountains? Parkside Cabin Rentals has so many wonderful cabins with different floor plans for everyone, no matter the size of your group. Check out their weekday rates, too, for some terrific deals. Parkside Cabin Rentals, and no matter where you stay in any of their cabins, you're going to get free parking in downtown Gatlinburg. ParksideCabinRentals.com. All right, back with all of our VFLs. Will Overstreet, Marlon Walls, Sterling Hinton, Daniel Hood. More VFLs than a UT alumni chapter. Good to have you guys. Against Georgia, the smallest issue could make or break a game. I mean, we're talking national title now. Tennessee's legit. You're talking national title. Any weakness could be exposed. I want to see if you're worried about any of these weaknesses. First, let's talk special teams. I'm going to come over here with Daniel and Sterling, and let me show up some numbers here. Some of these numbers were going into yesterday's game. Punt return average, Tennessee 4th in the SEC. Kick return average, only 11th out of the 14-team SEC. Punting average, they were 14th, last in the league, which I'll say this for Paxton Brooks, though, last night. His best game of the year. Dropped 2 inside the 5 and had 1 field position flipper there early in the first quarter. He had a nice game, but 14th overall in the season. Field goals, you are now 11 of 15 on the year. PATs, you've now missed 3 extra points on the year. In terms of opponents' punting return average, 13th. You give up a lot of yards there. You do better than your kick return average. Sterling, Daniel, are special teams a concern at all for you as Tennessee battles to reach a national championship level?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I mean,
you wouldn't make a very good coach.
Well, I think I'd make an excellent coach, John P.
No, coaches have to say everything is to worry about, not nothing.
No. I believe in Coach Eckler. I think he sees the things that are obvious, and those guys love Coach Eckler. They're going to play their butts off for him. And I tell you right now, man, we've had some things that are not at the top of every level, but people are not kicking to us either. You know, every time we get the ball, they're kicking it out the end zone. They're not giving our guys a chance to return the ball. We've had some touches yesterday on some blocks and some situations. I like our special team situations, not as bad as those numbers show.
Okay. I'm the completely opposite of Sterling. You know, week 1, my big red flag was our special teams, and it's showing up over and over again. And you can see, you know, against Kentucky, you're having to do pooch kits. You're having to do some other things like that. You miss a field goal. You miss an extra point. Those are things that can't happen. And it's the little details that have me worried about it. You have your kicker that doesn't trust your snapper. And you can see that on both your punt and you can see it on your field goal. And when you're going into a Georgia game on the road, you're going to have a lot of noise. There has to be absolute trust between the snapper, the holder, and the kicker. And it seems like there's a 1/10 of a second off, and that's what's causing your problems.
You've had a missed extra point from McGrath. You've had a missed extra point from the other kicker whose name I forget. You also, last night, the mixed extra point looked like that was more snap-hold type issue than it was the kick. So you've had different extra point issues all the way through. That can burn you, man. We got a little separation here in the Joy Boys this week.
It happens. It happens. I mean, he's defense, I'm offense. We're not going to agree on everything.
Very good, very good. So we got one guy concerned with special teams, one is not. Let's talk penalties. Let me put up a number. This won't take long. We know that Josh Heupel's teams take a lot of penalties. If we got this graphic, it's coming. I'm telling you. There it is. Total penalties, 13th in the SEC entering last night's game. All right, so there's only 14 teams in the league. So you had more than just about anybody. Average penalty yards per game, about 74 yards a game. 14th in the SEC entering last night's game. While we were in break, Daniel over here said there's 0 correlation between penalties and winning. So I'm going to ask Will Overstreet and Marlon Walls, are you concerned about penalties at all derailing a possible national championship season?
I am not, and here's the reason why. The style of offense we play, the confidence those guys have, if we get the ball back, I believe in that offense is going to score. We had a moment last night where I think the second drive maybe we get back 3 big penalties, we get backed up, and I'm thinking in my head, man, that cannot happen. Not versus a good football team. They get the ball back, we get a good stop, and all of a sudden now our offense gets the ball back.
44-6.
You know it is 44-6. So as long as those guys are working on it, which I understand the coaching staff, Justin can tell you this as well, you're looking at every aspect of a football game, what hurts you, what helps you. So as long as they're working on them, I'm good with it.
Will Overstreet.
I think I'd be concerned if they're lining up with more penalties on the offensive side. I think in the kind of defense they're playing, you're going to get some pass interference, and those aren't all bad because you're keeping that team out there and you're making them have to earn it. So
Not spot of the foul in the
It's not
NFL.
spot of the foul
That's
like
it.
NFL. So every once in a while, those are smart penalties
Hold
to
on
actually
to 'em.
take. So overall, I think as long as your offense is not the one piling those up and kind of throwing itself off course, then yeah, I don't think this is that bad at this point right now.
Oh, that's good. That's a good segment. That's a good mixed bag. There's a little worry, not a lot of worry. Okay, excellent. And if something derails them, I'll come back and beat up whoever said it wasn't a concern. That's
the way it works.
One thing that isn't a concern, by the way, for Tennessee, famous last words, turnover margin. The Vols are now +8 on the season, meaning they are averaging +1 per game. If you keep that going, you got a good shot at continuing to stay in the national championship picture. When we come back, let's break down the playoff race, the Heisman race, even the Biletnikoff race. Let's look at numbers. They're going to be small on your screen, but I stayed up till 5 doing them, so you're going to look at them. Come on back on the Sports Source.